to Horror Cult, your look at the world of terrifying, horrifying, and edifying entertainment from this world and beyond. This is a part of the Cult Following Network as we take a look into the world of horror films, horror culture, from pop collectibles to film. Let us discuss what terrifies you. My name is Victor Moreno. I program Terror Tuesday every month at the Alamo Drafthouse, and I'm one of those people who bring you cult classics every now and again, along with my cohort in cruelty, Kirby Nelson.
Whoa.
Guys, I just winged that intro. I made that up from scratch.
Yes, he did.
So, Horror Cult is going to be another one of the lovely spin-offs on the Cult Following Network. You know, Cult Following happens at least, once every quarter or so. That we're trying for sooner, but we also have You and Spew Network on the network. And lots of reviews up on cultfollowing.co, and you can always check us out at live events. We've got Chopping Mall coming up this Tuesday, the 18th, over at Alamo Drafthouse Tempe. We got Killing Spree for Video Vortex on the 24th. And hey, we're working with our friends over at the Crescent Ballroom on August 21st, and we're helping present Tim Capello from the Lost Boys doing a concert. It's a Lost Boys 80s dance night with some synthwave. I still believe. He'll be doing some synthwave. So you like that track he did with Gunship, I'm sure he'll be doing that. And we're going to be at Mad Monster Party in 2 weeks. June 28th, we got a big-ass booth. Stop by and say hi. I'm sure we got some giveaways, some cool stuff going on. So, that's all the, little events we've got coming up. But, check out cultfollowing.co and cultclassicsaz.com till we see what we got going on.
Yep. And I have been welcomed into the Mad Monster Party fold, so you will actually see me behind the scenes as well there. So,
seriously? What are you going to be doing there?
I think the job description said running shit.
Running shit?
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Putting out fires and
So
stuff.
are you actually working there? It's not like a volunteer
Yeah,
deal?
no, this is going to be, it's going to be a tentative run here. Evan and I have been friends for a long time, and he kind of asked me to come aboard and give it a shot here, so that's, so we'll see what happens, but I'm really, really excited about the opportunity. Mad Monster is by far my favorite horror convention. No preliminary ball washing there necessary. I really do think it is the ultimate convention for the fans, and I'm really, really excited to be a part of it. So I've been doing, obviously, a lot of promotional work right now and helping out with some other elements, but I'm really excited to be able to be more in depth with that. I've kind of always been a behind-the-scenes guy. When I was in the music scene, I did, more like booking bands and journalism and stuff. Now I'm doing more out in the front with my bands and stuff, but it's I always enjoy the producing life. Was actually always something I kind of fit well into.
I kind of feel like that's pretty much all of us. I mean,
definitely.
That's like pretty much what Cult Classics is. Like, hey, we love horror movies. Let's find some way of doing that our way, or even these podcasts. But yeah, it's no secret here, folks, that we're all about Mad Monster way over Phoenix, whatever it's called this year.
I don't even know. Well, I think it's just that, I mean, that's another big thing is that it's keeping horror central in Phoenix. That,
yeah, exactly.
Anyone who's been around, I mean, Victor and I both moved here about the same time, and a lot of stuff has come and gone over the years for good reasons. Some of it not too bad, but a lot of it is just really faded out. And I think the last 5 years of Mad Monster prove why it's been an institution.
Oh yeah,
so
no, it's easily the best convention going in Phoenix, Metro Phoenix by far. I look forward to it every year. The people involved in it are awesome.
That they are.
And it's just a nice vibe. It's like from a vendor point of view, it's cool. From a guest point of view, there's no other show I do photo ops. I buy photo ops for. The celebrities are always super cool to hang out with. It's just a nice vibe. You know?
That's going to be June 28th through the 30th. We have our 13 ghosts or guests, depending on your nomenclature.
Yeah, there's some really good ones, like Elvira's going to be there. Matthew Lillard, who's never been here before.
Doug Jones, first appearance here.
That's going to... I'm totally going to get my Shape of Water anatomy poster I got from
definitely.
Fox Searchlight a couple of years ago signed. And they got the first appearance of La Llorona. That's one of the
Yeah,
things I like.
Marisol Ramirez.
Yeah, every year they kind of get like somebody from a new horror movie that's never. Last year it was Art the Clown from Terrifier.
Yep, David Howard Thornton. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, I mean, it's a nice rounded out of kind of who's who VIP. Tom Atkins, Kane Hodder, Adrian Barbeau, Ray Wise, also doing his first appearance I'm aware about here. Always, of course, the institution, Sid Haig, and then Robert Patrick, Miko Hughes. Two childhood titans. We've got Danny Lloyd from The Shining and Miko Hughes from Pet Sematary. So that's a really, really solid lineup.
All right. Well, that's a good segue into something I kind of wanted to touch on for a minute. Man. Did you see the trailer for Dr. Sleep?
I have not watched it yet.
Oh.
It's because I want to watch it uninterrupted, and I have such a problem now because, like, as soon as it flips on YouTube or something, like I'm in the middle of work, I'm at the office, and like I just haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it yet. But you go right ahead, because I mean, it's you feel free.
So I it came on yesterday, and we like posted it on the website, and like a massive spike in traffic. Clearly. I was, and we're part of it. We're in kind of like, I feel like we're on the downturn of that big Stephen King renaissance that started with like Stranger Things, because for a while it was like,
well, they just announced The Long Walk too, which is pretty crazy.
But you know what I'm saying, like
true.
Around then it was like Dark Tower. It too is going to be huge, but it was like, I feel like Pet Sematary was kind of like, it's like, and then I don't think Castle Rock ending the way it did really helped any. So, but
I still haven't caught up. But for me, it's like obviously the buzz was not what they were hoping for.
Yeah,
because that diminished very, very quickly. Because I remember everyone was talking about it, and then all of a sudden, I didn't hear anything.
It's kept setting up things, and by the time you were like 2 episodes left, it's like, oh, nothing here is really gonna get.
Well, then people, every time I saw online, it was like an Easter egg hunt. That's all people seem to care about. That's pretty much what
the show sort of became. There were like, there's 2 really good episodes. But I mean, they were like with Sissy Spacek, and it's like, Sissy Spacek is going to act, amazing if you give her the showcase.
True.
But, no, so the trailer, for Dr. Sleep, it's kind of like low-key Mike Flanagan, who like, again, he directed a kick-ass adaptation of Gerald's Game, which is a book I never even felt the need to read,
King's early 90s work has had some... I mean, I think when Dolores Claiborne is probably like your standout, because, a lot of the other ones just didn't really work as much as they'd hoped.
And Flanagan, I think, is really good at, like, getting juice out of something that doesn't feel like it would, like The Haunting of Hill House,
True.
Again, I was like, is Shirley Jackson book? Really?
But see, like, Haunting of Hill House, there's the energy you're talking about that Castle Rock was supposed to have.
Yeah, exactly. So, the trailer starts kind of like on the down low, and then like I literally about, 10 seconds in, there's a shot recreated exactly from The Shining. And you keep seeing shots of this, and it's like, oh, this kind of, it has like the True Knot, which are basically these like people who become immortal by feeding off of the shining of innocence, which I don't think a lot of people really know. That it's going to be kind of interesting, but it's like hardcore, like, this is a sequel to The Shining, you guys. And then like at the end of the thing, it's like it's a blank screen, and each of the letters of the title comes on. It's a tone from like The Shining thing, like dong dong. I was like, whoa. And I guess
with the red rum backwards.
It's a really good trailer. And I guess like I was reading this morning that I guess Flanagan had to sign off with King and Kubrick's estate to get this made. And apparently both of them were like all about it. Like, this is an awesome movie. So I'm cautiously optimistic to check it out,
Well, you get co-signage. I mean, one from the master, one from the estate of another master. But it's, I think the other part too I was going to say is that my buddy Troy, is always... He's real reticent to watch trailers because not only they give so much away.
Yeah, and I'm the same way because I like usually like have to review these movies on less of an impression I get. But I don't think this really did, which is good.
Which we were just discussing a little bit before we got started here about some upcoming screenings, and one of them was Midsummer, which is probably my most anticipated movie of 2019. I haven't watched the trailer yet. Not the teaser, not the more full trailer that just came out. I never watched any of the ones for Hereditary either.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite film of 2018. And I don't know. It's just, I want to have as many surprises as possible.
I think that's a good way to do it. I mean, I never got around to watching Us when it was in theaters. Ruby didn't want to watch it, and I was always busy. So it's coming out on Blu-ray next week, so I got a chance to watch it because we're going to be giving away like a digital code for it or something. And, dude, I really didn't like it.
Well, that's...
I was surprised. Because I love doppelganger horror movies like Body Snatchers. I loved Get Out, and like I was like, "What, really? This is Us?" I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought Lupita Nyong'o did like an awesome job.
She did perfect.
She was great in it, and so were the kids. But
I'd say that voice is one of the most unsettling things I've heard in a film in a while. I really enjoyed it personally, just because it was one of the only things to me in the movie that was totally unexpected. Yeah. Because it's not in the again, going back to the trailer concept, it's not in the trailer. So when you hear it for the first time, you don't know exactly what the backstory is. Yeah. Which seems to be most people's issues. Cult Following's own Joshua T. Ruth did a very extensive study of this one. A few months back.
Which I didn't read, and now I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, he did. His most people's and his and mine, and I'm not saying it's like a whole conglomerate, but I think a lot of people, it's just that Peele's ability to world build. He has a talent, but he's got the M. Night Shyamalan disease, where he's starting to. It's like you get where he's trying to build the framework, but there's just too many plot holes to make it work for me personally.
My whole thing was like, I thought this movie over-explained shit way too much. Like, I thought it was obvious at least halfway through that she wasn't the original Adelaide. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't understand how you could not figure that out from clues. It's really obvious, and then they have to literally give us the whole reasoning for it twice. And I just don't like being pandered to that way.
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying is that where I was getting at is that it is pandering, it is coddling and stuff like that, but it just was one of those things where it's like, okay, this movie would have timed nicely at about 90 to 100 minutes.
Yeah, it's
but you
too
just
long.
Felt you had to keep going to add not even just another explanation, but just so much excess. Like,
well, that entire scene where they go to the other side of the lake to talk to Tim Heidecker, to try to get to Tim Heidecker and Elizabeth Moss's characters. I liked those kills, mind you, and I liked the one character that the Elizabeth Moss character was all about plastic surgery. Yeah. So her double kept mutilating her face, because they're off slightly. I thought that was cool. I thought like a more judicious director would have cut out most of that sequence, though. Or the fact that they had twin daughters. I thought was going to be more of a thing. Yeah. And not really at all.
Well, it's one of those things. Obviously,
I guess I'm nitpicking.
No, but we're on a podcast. It's what it's meant for. But I think it's just one of those things. No, I mean the film has its strengths, and it definitely has its. It's not even just weaknesses. It's just its area of improvement. The biggest thing is I didn't walk out. I think people are going, well, you're comparing it too much to Get Out, and I said, no, because to me they're very similar. It's like you were saying, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Stepford Wives. He takes a lot of the 70s horror tropes and puts them through his own lens of commentary and his own style. But the problem with this one was, it's just I think it's just. There's one of the ones I always love that Jordan Peterson says in interviews, or Jordan Peele, sorry, is that he says stuff like, people thought Get Out was too funny, and it's like, well, you put great comedic moments in your movies, and
I think comedy and horror actually go
hand in hand,
well.
And that's why so many people I think people didn't think what's his name, Danny Eastbound Down.
Oh, Danny McBride.
He was gonna hamper the Halloween 2018, and it's like, no, I think that some of the truly funny bits in there were not at all superfluous or overdone. It was just exactly the right amount, and I really believe it was his writing.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it's the scary parts too. It's the frightening parts because people laugh. They like to, try to get out of.
I really liked Halloween 2018.
So did I.
I think honestly, the only part of that movie that I would have changed maybe would have been like the beginning with the podcasters, like when the podcasters holding,
the mask,
and then it just cuts to the credits. Like it's just so abrupt, it still bothers me. Yeah.
Well, it's almost like one of those what do you call it? Terminologies evade me, but like the sell reel that you're doing to get funding. It's like, oh, here's what we're gonna do. This is gonna be, they're gonna be so interested. It's like, well, yeah, you don't actually usually leave it in the movie. You just kind of do it for the trailer or to get seed money. It's like,
no, and I'll still contend like that remake was a million times better than it had any business of being.
Exactly.
I literally only hope that Terminator Dark Fate is at least half as decent. Although, my friend Keith already saw it and he really hated it, so I'm hoping we differ.
Well, I also think what's Stallone's Logan or whatever he's gonna do. Logan
Last
Rambo.
Blood.
Yeah. Last. I actually was gonna say, is it really called Last Blood? And in my head, I'm like, it's called Last Blood.
Yeah.
Oh my! It's like, is it really called Rocky Balboa? Yeah. It is. So I feel like we're kind of just at that point, but I'm still willing to go see. I will say this, that it's funny because now we've mentioned two of my top 2018 picks. The other one was Halloween 2018.
Yeah.
And we're in sixth month of the year already, and I don't even have a single pick yet.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Like I was really hoping by now I would in general have like more movies that I was like really excited about, like this is my pick for the year. The only horror movie this year that so far is like on my list to beat is The Perfection, which like again I feel like I wish Netflix hadn't bought that movie because most people will never see it, because
they'll think it's a dumping ground.
Yeah,
and
it's like literally it's an awesome like rape revenge like genre mishmash thing. Like it reminds. Did you watch it?
I haven't watched it yet, but somebody just said Black Swan meets I Spit on Your Grave, or what's the other one? The one with jazz drumming, Whiplash. That I've heard some people said that too in some senses.
In a reductivist thing, it's like if Black Swan was also a rape revenge movie that started you off thinking it was going to be like The Ruins or something.
Oh.
It's a bunch of crazy genres that all work together, and then it ends up with being like a body horror thing, kind of like Dead Ringers,
which was actually the best part of Black Swan, in my opinion.
Yeah,
was the very real aspect of being a dancer and the physical toll it takes.
Yeah,
I thought that was more people cringed at that. It's it's one I haven't seen. It's one I've really wanted to watch. I feel like, of course, people have been saying, I've heard a lot about Climax. I've heard the one coming forth from Jennifer Kent, the Babadook one, but with
Darling.
No, it's
I know which one you're talking about.
The revenge movie. It's like it's set in that turn of the century or whatever.
Yeah, Darling is a sequel to The Woman. That's
Yeah. But I've heard really good things about that one.
The Nightingale.
The Nightingale. Yes, thank you. Yeah, that was.
I just thought of it. I didn't have to look it up.
Good job. We were talking before we got started that we were trying to keep this internet free as much as possible, where the struggle is real and you can hear it. We're working to test ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, the name, I'm like, it has, it's funny. It's almost like The Revenant. Like you're thinking of that kind of name where it's like, it's the something.
Yeah.
And but that one looks really good. I mean, Midsummer, like I said, I think. But I'm like, you know.
And they also just added Hagazusa to Shudder, so I'll probably watch that this weekend because I heard that was good.
Yeah, I've got a copy. I started watching it. I was very interested. It very much has started a lot like The Witch, and so that really has my that was my top 2016 pick. A24 just kind of runs my life. I don't know if
The Lighthouse is going to come out this year too, the new movie from the dude who did The Witch. So that looks really interesting. Just like I feel like from what I've read, not to spoil it too much, it has kind of an elder gods kind of.
That's what I've heard. It's very
Yeah.
Lovecraftian, and so the other one too, I just started watching last night. I did not have time to finish just because of an event I went to, but was the Hole in the Ground.
I saw The Hole in the Ground.
Yeah.
I was gonna write a review for that because I just added it to Netflix.
Well, I only watched the first 10 minutes, and I was definitely interested, so that's a plus.
Yeah, it's a really interesting movie.
Sure,
well, we can talk about that next time. Maybe.
Yeah, sure. But I
mean,
mean,
why don't you tell us about the event?
Sure.
Night?
So, our mutual friend Danny, who works at the Alamo Draft House, just an absolute wonderful person. She writes for morbidlybeautiful.com and a few other sites. And she wanted to do an event for a 501c3 organization here in Arizona. It's called Mulligan's Manor, and it is for at-risk LGBT youth. And so there was a raffle. Victor and I both contributed. Many people did in the community. Thank you so much to everybody who did. Last count I heard, there was over $700 raised for Mulligan's Manor, which has one of the lowest operating costs of any nonprofit in the United States.
That's pretty crazy.
It's 4%, I believe, is their administrative fees. So that's wonderful to see. And, of course, the amazing work they did. It definitely was pretty heart-wrenching, some of the stories they told. But it was also very, of course, heartwarming to also the successes they've had and helping individuals that, unfortunately are a lot of bad situations. They're helping them to get out of it. But basically, it was also a celebration, of course, of Pride Month, and decided to show Alexander Aha's 2003 masterpiece, High Tension, which was a first-time watch for a good chunk of the crowd.
Yeah,
Aja, I think I said Aha.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I wasn't trying to take on me here or anything.
He also has that crocodile horror movie coming out later this year.
Yes, which I'm actually pretty excited about just because. But do you know what? That's the feeling I got with The Meg. My hopes were way too high, and and The Meg was like one of the worst movies I've seen in years.
Hey,
so
how often you get to see Jason Statham punch a shark?
That's true.
Yeah, probably in 2018 we also got to see The Rock knock out a dinosaur, or a crocodile monster, I guess. Rampage, horrible movie.
I watched something or read an article recently. I think it was on Slate or something, but it was about end credit rap songs, and end credit songs, and I totally forgot about the one at the end of Deep Blue Sea with LL Cool J. I think it's called Deeper Bluer, and it's like, you gotta be kidding me. I gotta go back just to listen to the song.
It's just kind of ridiculous, some of the shit you see when you watch in a horror movie.
That's true.
I suppose. I don't know. And it's like, I swear though, this year has been like, so many movies that horror movies I really wanted to like, and then I go see them and the concept just like dies on the vine. I swear to God, like Brightburn is one of my biggest, like, what the fuck, I can't believe I wasted my life watching this. This could have been a short. I don't want to get into it. I wrote a review about it.
Yeah. Well, I think the big thing with that was, I think for Brightburn, was the high hope of horror and comics.
Yeah,
book
right.
Movies or superhero movies merging. For those, I really enjoy both Irredeemable and Invincible, which are both comics with superheroes. Also, The Boys is a little bit like that.
Yeah.
And I think it is an area ripe with potential. But I enjoyed Brightburn for the gore. I thought it was excellent.
Oh, yeah, it's super gory.
It was so excellent.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just a very... it could have been a short film.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that one. I don't know where to put that in my canon. It's definitely not anywhere in the top 5 or 10.
Yeah.
But I still like that they did it. I just wish it had been better. That's all I can do. And but I think that's, again, just a quick reference back to Us, was just that I think that's the thing. It's just the concept lures you in so much. And people, as soon as I saw the Untethered, I was like, this is awesome. This is one of the coolest looking concepts for something so minimal.
Right.
It's not particularly, it's kind of like a good slasher villain.
Yeah, I I feel the less time they had spent explaining them, the stronger that movie would have been. And then they literally right from the beginning, where it's like, oh, there's so many abandoned sewers, and I was like, oh boy.
Well, the Hands Across America thing too
Dude,
was going far. But I mean, I just kind of go back to too, though. I think that I think when people look at things like they go, what was I mean, Blumhouse obviously, and some of the other studios have a gold mine where it's like, where can you take the cheapest looking Halloween mask? I mean, it's Scream, Halloween, obviously the franchises, the Empires did this, but I mean, like, you look at movies like The Strangers or The Purge, and it's like, this is genius in that respect.
I just really wish, I mean, I don't want to get into the idea of, like, everything needs to be, like, an adaptation or something, but, like, I really wish something like Blumhouse would, like, license, like, something like, that game Dead by Daylight.
Sure.
And, like, I feel like there's so many interesting, like, little serial killers they could make up movies for, like, all of those and not really tie them together.
Well, there's also, I mean, there's so many good, that's, we've talked about in the past podcasts with Cult Following, that there's so many good, like, survival horror and horror video games, and video games in general that could do it, but it's, what I think, and then it's like, and then Blumhouse comes out with Black Christmas out of completely left field.
That blew my brain. I was like, was anybody clamoring for a Black Christmas remake? Yet here we are. It's coming out in like 5 months.
Yep.
I mean, that's cool that they...
It is, but...
I almost was like, oh, like when I first heard that, I was like, oh, is that going to be like the Christmas episode of Into the Dark or something? For those who you don't know, like Blumhouse has like a series on Hulu where every month they do a different horror movie based on a holiday that happens that month.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, no, it's a theatrical film, so that'll be interesting. So...
Yeah, I definitely think, though, out of all the remakes that have happened in recent years, that was one of the ones.
Black Xmas.
Black Xmas, which I do enjoy. If it had been to its original full potential, if it had been the film the director intended, which unfortunately never happened. I did recently, by the way, find that on HD DVD for $1, and I found out it's actually one of the rarest HD DVDs.
Wow, I did not know.
Yeah,
that.
it's also it's not like it's in the hundreds or something, but I mean, it's none of the HD DVDs are, but it's not uncommon. So, or it's not common. But the Black Christmas Blu-ray was only Black Xmas. Let's just distinct. Was only released in Blu-ray.
Way to No, I mean the thing is, Black Christmas has an easy enough premise. I mean, it's the first slasher movie. Like, hey, girls who are staying over, at a private school during Christmas. Like, that's, fuck, if they own the concept enough, just like use the name, and like that would be a cool movie. Like, did you ever see that one movie called Christie?
The cult one?
Yeah,
it's another one. I feel so bad. It's like, dude, I'm like the what do you call it? The
horror guy.
No, that too. That's always like, it's like whenever I do Simpsons trivia, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting so rusty. No, I'm feeling like the lame duck, not the good part of this combo. But I really, it was just, a lot of the ones on Netflix.
I'm just pulling out a lot of horror movies out of my ass right now.
Well, no, that's true too. Yeah, just crop dust as you will. But it's one of those things where a lot of these movies, it's one of those things where you just start watching it for 10, 15 minutes, and it either lures you in or you don't. And when it doesn't happen that way, it's, I don't know, it's actually interesting. One of the events to tie it into was I went to Phoenix Comic-Con this year, and I went to Rebecca McKendry, her panel they do every year, which is one of my favorites, with our friend Monty and a bunch of other fine folks. They do bold horror statements.
Yeah.
And one of Rebecca's was about how Netflix has pretty much ruined horror, like in the sense of that so many people do it that way. They watch like 15 minutes, whereas like, including herself, we're dedicated horror fans, like when you're renting on video or when you just blind bought a movie, you were committed to it. And now you're like, I'll get back to it.
I don't know. Like, I do kind of feel that Netflix has so many horror movies.
That's true too.
That you're never in the sense like, oh, Netflix owns this; it's going to be here forever. So, what's the point if I watch it? and I know so many people who watch horror movie, like I'll watch 10 minutes, I'll watch 10 minutes, like you're watching a fucking YouTube series, and it's very like I can't do that shit. I gotta watch the movie from start to finish, So that's why, like, if I'm watching a movie, I get an hour out, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta start that movie from scratch, and it's not fair to the movie, but like, there's a lot of movies I've never gone to watch. Like, I don't feel at home in this world anymore, which I heard was really good because it's on Netflix. And I'm always like, well, fuck, I gotta watch this. And I'm like, I'm not in the mood to watch that right now. So it literally exists in the ether of my Netflix queue. I'm sorry, my Netflix list, because we're too stupid as Americans to know what queue is. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe one day I'll watch it, but that's kind of the thing. Like, I also feel that, like, in general, if Netflix buys a movie, then it's, like, so unlikely people will ever get to watch it. Because at least if it's theatrical or, like, a boutique label gets it, you're going to go out of your way to get the physical thing and watch it, versus on Netflix, it's like, it's in the cloud, I'll watch it eventually.
Yeah, that's true. And like I said, I'm guilty of it. I admit to it. I also, one of my New Year's resolutions this year was to, if I buy something, I'm gonna watch it as soon as I get, even if it's a re-release or a special edition of something I already own 10 copies of. I'm still gonna buy it.
Yeah.
But I'm really trying to become dedicated to whatever. I've slowed down a lot of my purchasing just because, it's like, man, I've got so much now to watch between all of the channels that are available, because I've always said I haven't had cable in 15-16 years now. I had Netflix by mail, and then I had my film physical collection, and then once it was streaming, and then it's just, I still see no need. I have so much stuff to watch now, but I'll definitely watch it here eventually, because that I really do. I think the cult based films and stuff is something that's really alluring to me.
Yeah,
always has been. I like that idea a lot. So it's one of the many. It's like somebody, like I said, will do a good pitch, and it gets me really interested. But then the Netflix ones especially, I have a real difficult. And you're right, it is a hindrance to the film that it ends up on a platform that really will never appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not possible.
Well, I mean, the other thing, too, is how Netflix almost never puts its own movies out on Blu-ray or their TV shows. They will eventually. I mean, like, honestly, I'm really thankful for the fact that last year Netflix, like, sent me, like, a giant fucking stack of, like, 60 movies. Like, oh, check these out for awards, because half of them I was like, I didn't even realize this was a fucking movie.
Yeah.
And I found one of my favorite movies of last year like that. It was Hold the Dark, by Jeremy Saulnier, the guy who did Blue Ruin and Green Room. And it's like, it had like a Jeffrey Wright and Riley Keough, and it has a weird cult thing going on. And it's like, man, this movie, fuck, I wish A24 had bought it, because people would probably be talking about it.
Yeah, well, and then also the problem, it's been funny is that, right now with Midsummer and stuff, and this is where I'm going with this one, is more just towards the idea of that, the hype machine has gotten so big, especially in horror. It's like, it's become that this is going to be the most revolutionary film, and it's like, it's an advantage that a film is able to have such a elevation with its studio backing and its promotion. But then it also becomes its downfall, because A24 so far has delivered, in my opinion. Not everything I thought was great or enjoyed a ton, but it also, it's become a really dependable brand.
Yeah.
But then it also, some of its stuff, that like you said, like that, it would have been the title, and now it's going to languish somewhere.
Yeah.
Big name directors, top tier actors and stuff like that maybe want to do something smaller, independent, and now it's like, it's basically, it's lost forever. It's like being in a band, and it's like, oh, hey, go to my band camp, or hey, check out my thing. It's like, no, I don't have time. The only time people will check that stuff out now is, it's funny that you mentioned the whole thing about watching 10 minutes, and it becomes a YouTube thing, but that's what life is now. Like music, it's Spotify, or whatever. Like, people are like, if I can't get it on the medium and in the format I want, then, like, my interest has pretty much gone away.
It was like a few months back, I watched Critters, a new binge on Shudder. And it's like, oh, cool, a new Critters thing. I love Critters. And it's like, the show is clearly like meant to be a YouTube series, you know? And they put it together as episodes, but it's like, I don't know who the audience for that was, because it was just like stupid kind of stoner jokes, and like just dumb. It really, and it was made so cheap. It's like, this was clearly made for someone to like either get high and make fun of it, or just like MST3K riff on it.
Yeah.
And that just fucking annoyed me, because it's like, you can't just like make a little series that's interesting, and maybe, you know, they're making another Critters movie.
Yeah, I know.
And apparently this is, from what I've heard, it's kind of the flip where they're trying to make it sort of serious. So maybe they're trying to please both masters, but I almost feel like if something is made for like, you know, like this is just going to be short, they're going to go and try to make it stupid rather than interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what, you know, it's weird how those rights and etc. issues and stuff have resolved themselves into, okay, everyone gets to, you know, everyone does their own art project here. It's like Child's Play now has a TV series,
Yeah.
its own separate movie series, a new reboot, and then it's like, they kind of did that, you know, you're talking about the stoner thing. It's kind of like with like Leprechaun.
Yeah.
Like Leprechaun Returns just came out. It was exclusive to Sci-Fi for a while. And, you know, obviously they got it so they could do it on St. Patrick's Day. But then you also, it's like, they can do these so cheaply. Basically, they just took a page from Full Moon's playbook.
Yeah, kind of.
And it's like, if they could get it to be Critters versus Evil Bong, they would do it. But they, you know, Charlie Band can't afford that, so he gets, you know, they do their own thing, which they always have. And you know, it's like, Full Moon's like Trauma. It's one of those fan bases. I enjoy both Full Moon and Trauma. But I'm also not going to sit there like I'm the most ardent, die-hard defender, because I need something more a lot of the times. I just do. Like, I don't mean to say that in a pretentious or pompous way.
No, you just want, if you're spending time to watch something, you want it to be something that at least you're going to be like engaged with.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like, yeah. And that's me half the time watching, like, I don't know, like, not that long ago, I watched this movie called Assimilate. I think it comes out on Blu-ray on Tuesday. It's kind of like, it's straight up Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like, but it tries to do this, like, found footage thing. The main reason I watched it is because it had the kid who was in The Act. I don't know if you watched The Act.
I haven't seen that one yet. Yeah,
it's really good.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, but and it has, and the main girl in it is it's Laurie Strode's granddaughter from 2018 Halloween.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, okay, let's check it out. And it's you know, it's interesting. You know, like, it's clearly it's a low budget movie, but it's like trying to do the most that it can, and it only uses like the found footage thing to kind of try to get around doing the special effects for like pods and stuff. So I was like, okay, see, I like that it's not found footage the whole fucking time. See, because I feel like, you know, and this is the thing I hated so much about Netflix at first when they got like this whole flood of horror movies. It was just like, everything's fucking found footage, you know, because it's the cheapest movie to make, and concept.
What's that, or paranormal?
Yeah.
Like, paranormal, when I mean that, I meant like your Great Value Annabelle. Like, this is whatever. It's like the one that I always laugh at is the Robert, which is a real legend of
Robert
a doll.
the doll.
Yeah, but it's like I'm like, man, that was probably the easiest one to get the rights to, or that you didn't have to get rights to, and so that's what you did. It's like, we're gonna make this for almost nothing. Yeah, like but we're gonna pawn it off. You know, we're gonna do the box art. We're gonna do the description, like, so that you really are. The one that killed me was Pet Cemetery came out. They had Pet Graveyard.
Oh, dude, totally. I was like, come on, man, really? We're back to that shit.
It's not even like a mockbuster thing, because I read the description.
No, it's just like it's just trying to get
eyes. The cover art
is,
but it has nothing to do with it. It's like, wow, you guys are some.
It's the 80s
you guys are
all over again.
Well, no, it's almost like you guys are cam whores or something.
Yeah.
Like, this is a next level. Like,
well, I remember like the 90s in video back at mom and pop video store. Oh, this looks interesting, and it had a cool cover, and then it's like this is like a British like mini series about aliens that has nothing to do with like the alien chick on the cover or whatever. Like, oh, it looks all Geegerish. No. Yeah.
What's funny when you started talking about that last one was assimilation. Assimilate. I actually thought you were gonna just from just the word. I started thinking either the species or splice. I don't know why. Those are the first two. Just by saying that term, that's the first thing I think of.
Yeah, I feel like the movie could have had a better title, like something. But yeah, I'm not going to try to market it for them. But yeah, I thought it was all right.
Maybe you should. Like that might help a little bit. Like I don't know. I guess for me with like the alien thing on a quick riff was that I just wish more people would do like Fire in the Sky. I've been waiting for something like that for so long because I have no real interest in the alien or abductions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That's all I want is something like that again. Like
you never know, maybe.
I don't know. Can't you just do something a little bit more like when Unsolved Mysteries did it better than like most people with a cheesy reenactment? It's like, come on, man. There used to be a show, Paranormal Witness, years ago that was actually, their reenactments were better than most of the horror films I was watching. Like, in terms of the quality of it. Like,
no, there were a ton. I remember UPN used to have one called the Beyond Belief Factor.
Their fiction. That one I remember.
Which would get me, because they would...
Was that Jonathan Frakes?
Yes.
Yes.
It was just reenactments, and at the end, like, did you guess which one was real? And I'm like, the one with ghosts. I'm just like, it was in fact based on a true story. I'm like, the bar for this thing is so fucking low.
Yeah, but that was the fun in it too. It was, I mean, especially when I was younger, of course, that stuff, a lot of stuff I couldn't rent, so that was the stuff you watched.
Yeah.
I mean, kids now, I'm going to get too much, like, too old already, like, trying to avoid that instantly, but you just go down that path. But that's also, it lends itself, as a final comment to the whole thing, is that when you have so many options, you have so many choices.
Yeah.
You either have to be curating or cultivating, which is why a lot of people like Shudder and some other, or enjoy people's lists. I mean, not just like listicles, but people's in-depth.
I get what you're saying. It's like the Joe Bob thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's kind of where that ends up going, but I don't know.
Did you see any, since you were out in Las Vegas for the...
Oh, yeah. Days of the Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to check out because Days of the Dead does have a like film fest and shorts and stuff. Unfortunately, I was actually up for a death metal festival called Las Vegas Death Fest for the first 2 days, so I just was there for a few hours before I went home. The main reason I went, see some friends and people and stuff, but it was really just for two guests. I've been going to conventions probably 25 years now, 27, and I've never met Tracy Lords.
Seriously?
Yeah, never. She's never been at any convention I'm aware of. Well, I'm not, you grew up in Southern California, may have seen us.
Yeah, we went to go see Hairspray last year, and she was there.
Yeah.
And I was like, is she in? No, she's not. She was there because she's friends with John Waters, duh.
Yeah, so it's, for me, it was like, she has, I like some of her, like, schlockier stuff, like Shock 'Em Dead. It's funny, I actually went with Blade out of everything, just because it's the image I liked most.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ruby, that it wasn't Crybaby. I already apologized to her. I do enjoy Crybaby, and I think she's a great part of it. Meeting her, she was very kind and very, just very professional and thing, but man, she is exactly the way she is on screen. Like, there is no difference. Mm-hmm. She has the same demeanor, and I mean, it was very much like talking to it's an inseparable element. Neither good nor bad.
The character she played, or her, basically.
She's very, how can I say it? It's like she'll talk to you, but she's very selective with her words, and she's very, her tone is very even. She doesn't have any real, like when I spoke to her, there's very few highs and lows, except when I actually asked her about Shock 'Em Dead. She said, I don't know anybody likes that fucking movie. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, she was very cool. So I got to spend a little bit of time with her. But the main reason I went was I I have never met Clive Barker,
Mm.
who is one of my biggest inspirations. I love almost everything he's ever done in film, book, art. I just adore the man, and you know, it's just he. I had it was a pretty long wait. He's got like a Robert Englund thing where he will really sit there and talk to you. His handlers and representatives and stuff, they basically gotta get him to stop. I have always said publicly on different podcasts and events that I am not a big fan of people who are like, oh, I can't wait to meet them. We're gonna have a moment, or I can't wait to have a moment with them, and things like that. And I've never been that way. I've always been respectful of people. I try to keep any interactions. I mean, if I'm not hustled along, I try to keep it to a few minutes.
Yeah.
At most, maybe 5. I feel terrible, especially since I was actually saying that in this line, but I ended up talking with Clive Barker for about 20-25 minutes. We talked history, and we talked, a bunch of different subjects in terms of comic book industry. A lot of times, by the way, when celebrities meet me, especially older individuals of a certain generation, they always think of Jack Kirby first when I tell them my name is Kirby. So they almost always, and so Clive had a lot of discussion about that. And we just had a really good conversation. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, we had this amazing connection or something. But I mean, he genuinely, I don't know if it seems like he makes everybody feel that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, just to be able to shake his hand, hold his hand, talk to him, there's no dancing around it. Clive is wheelchair bound largely. He has, I think, problems with his legs. I know he had some difficulties after dental work many years ago, orthodontic work. He had his throat polyps from his smoking.
The time.
Yeah, but his voice has actually recovered quite well.
Really?
But and it's like, he could tell he was not in great shape, but I have never seen a man in such high spirits. So friendly, so warm, so effervescent and funny, and genuinely, like I said, I mean, I gotta gush like a little girl, because it's just like it was like truly one of the difference between magic and illusion. Clive Barker really is magic. He really is one of the most amazing people I've ever met and had the opportunity to enjoy their art and their life. And I'm glad he shared it with the world and stuff, and that he took this opportunity and I got to meet him. I mean, not just highlight of the fest, highlight of my week, probably one of the highlights of my year.
That's cool.
So and Robert Englund, I met him last year, but Robert Englund is very it's almost like going to a seminar. It's almost like his character in Urban Legend. He has the best stories. But with Clive Barker, it was more like a conversation, and that's just it's like talking to an old friend. It's just amazing.
Now, he's an interesting guy. I met him like 10 years ago when I think it was for like an anniversary of Hellraiser thing,
mm-hmm.
and it was him, Doug Bradley, and Ashley Lawrence. They were all doing like a panel together, and then afterwards I met him and got their autographs. But it was like this whole deal where like, the guy who's running the panel was like, well, what do you guys have coming up? And Ashley Lawrence is like, well, she was doing artwork,
mm-hmm.
and then Clive's like, I'm working on some books, and I'm always busy, and then it's like Doug Bradley's like, well, I don't want to bore you all with everything I'm working with, and then he goes on telling every single B movie he has coming out that year, and then him and Ashley Lawrence start acting like they're falling asleep. Well, Doug Bradley just keeps on talking, and literally Clive Barker like flops over and starts going, and then Doug Bradley just, well, I'll just speak louder then, and it's just like,
that's definitely his. He was very playful. I saw some pictures.
Yeah.
Somebody took a topless picture with him.
Wow.
And Clive Barker took his shirt off, and it's just like the guy is just he's just a party, like so much fun.
No, and he definitely, I know he has his health problems, but he's definitely a guy who like just wants or wanted to live his life. Because I remember when I was talking to him, he was talking about like he had just gotten his throat polyp scraped off again, and they told him, he was like, "Oh, and they told me you gotta stop smoking and drinking." I said, "Oh, sure," and then I went home and I had some whiskey. You know?
Yeah, he just, I mean, it was like, and like I said, I don't bring up his health problems.
I mean, I don't know if he even sounds like that anymore.
No, he didn't. That's what, but it's like, you know, when I bring up things and stuff, is like, what I want to do is the contrast in his spirit versus it. I mean, it's just one of those things where it gives you like hope in life that somebody is so, you can tell, is not feeling well, and they're just like it didn't even matter. And I'm sure he's using every bit of energy he had.
Yeah,
but I mean,
totally.
It was just amazing. So great. The convention itself, I mean, I can't say here nor there. It was good to see some friends, because there's some people who only make it out to those. And so, and I've only been to a couple. One of the last ones was with you at LAX.
Yeah, that's the last
years
one I
ago,
went to.
and that was probably 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then this was the first time I'm doing the Vegas one. It just worked out as a happy coincidence, and it was good. But you know, just nothing to write home about. I did see Eddie Furlong there, and man,
yeah,
the definition of the before picture consistently, and he's going to be at, and like I said. Again, whenever I say these things, I don't mean it as a diminishment of the thing.
That's just the thing. I mean, I can't really get. I mean, yeah. I mean, he had a hard life growing up. He got cast in Terminator 2 right out of foster care.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, he was a kid. I mean, if you look at me when I was 15 compared to now, I'm sure people go, "Oh, that guy went to shit," you know.
Well, no, I don't think that, man. And also, I mean, I can't instantly defend Eddie Furlong when he's, been on domestic violence charges numerous times, and he's been pretty scumbaggy. But I'm actually super psyched though to go meet Danny Cooksey, because
what's he gonna be at?
He's gonna be at Son of Monster Palooza with Eddie Furlong. So
that I might have to get. I might have to get that John Connor figure from exclusive from San Diego Comic-Con and get him to sign it. That'd be cool.
I just want him to either sign Mom and Dad Save the World, Danny Cooksey, either Mom and Dad Save the World or Salute Your Shorts for me.
Oh, I'm pretty sure his line is going to be all Salute Your Shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it always is interesting when somebody was on like a Nickelodeon or Disney type show, and then they have they're at like a horror convention. It's always interesting, but yeah. No, they did some interesting ones. Phil Fondacaro is going to be there. I haven't seen him at a convention in a while, so I'd like to see him and a few other folks. Yeah, he's
like in Troll, right?
Yeah, he was the Troll. Yeah. He was in Willow, of course, and then he was in Bordello of Blood.
That's right. Yeah,
Garbage Pail Kids.
Yeah, he's him and Warwick Davis and the guy from Seinfeld are always are always the three that are in those movies.
Yeah, and what's his name? The Billy, he's like the guy who started like the union for like little people actors. Yeah. He was in Wizard of Oz. Yeah.
Oh, he passed away.
He passed away, but he put a lot of effort into making sure that people were treated dignity and respect. Yeah. So but so it's so there's some good people already appearing, so that's gonna be fun. But yeah, that's those are like definitely been the big movies and events. I can't think of too much else since me and Victor, we haven't, as you may know from those who listen to Cult Following, we've kind of taken a little bit of a siesta. The Cult Following Podcast Network has definitely grown, as we mentioned in the beginning. We will be back. We'll probably do some more here, but for now it's been that, and I really can't think of a huge amount. We mentioned Pet Sematary.
I think the last one we did was like around April.
Yeah.
So it was like right before Avengers came out.
I did see Curse of La Llorona completely alone in the theater.
I believe it.
Yeah, and it was actually during the opening weekend. But it was, here nor there.
Man, I saw The Nun. Like, that's the first Conjuring verse movie I've ever seen.
Really?
I haven't seen any of the other ones. I watched it and I was like, man, this is such a letdown.
Yeah, it was. The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2 I still enjoy, and I actually do enjoy the two Annabelle movies. I will probably be now. Well, yeah, I'll be going to see the third one here shortly. It's a doll heavy. We've got Child's Play, Annabelle,
Toy Story. They all come out the same week.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, there's some big stuff coming out. I mean, but really, like I said, some of the tent poles and stuff. It's kind of like you were saying. It's like the King thing is kind of died down a bit with It Chapter 2. It's gonna rev up high again. Long Walks coming, a bunch of other ones. But I just feel like we're hitting the point. Almost all the Bachman books have been done. There's only one left in different seasons. A lot of the stuff with Night Shift and Skeleton Crew and a few of the other anthology books.
I'm sure they'll remake like Christine at some point.
Yeah. Well, they already did like Nightmares and Dreamscapes as a television show, and what I see is that they'll be doing that probably with Night Shift or Skeleton Crew.
Oh, and then the Creep Show TV show starts
Creep Show
in the
TV.
fall. So. Yeah. Well, speaking of,
there's a great segue.
Look at that! I didn't even fucking time that shit. So
he's smooth. Yeah, very smooth.
See, I ruined it all by explaining it after the fact.
That's true too, but that's okay.
But no. So Father's Day is this weekend. So we're hitting like. See, now we got past the catch up thing. Now we're doing the body of the show. This is the autopsy of Father's Day. We're going to talk about a little bit about
Thank
fathers.
you, Jordan Peele, for explaining it completely.
Right. No, now I have to do a flashback on how I thought of explaining it. But
there you go.
Yeah, so Creep Show's coming up, the TV show. So it's like, and Father's Day is a Sunday. So this is a topic that is really kind of interesting in horror, is the idea of fatherhood.
Very true.
The father is sometimes the main aggressor, the monster in many horror movies, or at least the protagonist that gets the wheels spinning, And it's really interesting to see what kind of drives that idea, because there's just so many movies where the idea of fatherhood drives someone insane almost. Or or the child suffers because of a father, and that leads to a retreat into this darkness or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of different kinds of themes and topics surrounding it. I mean, it's when you kick off. I think every Father's Day online, it's always I got my cake, So it's It's funny. It's a very surface and humorous kind of thing, but there's some deep-seated issues. Obviously that people have both with their fathers or with their families or father figures and stuff. On the positive side, in horror, there's a few, shining beacons of hope, but I think generally it's because of, usually, I think when you can do it perfectly well, I look at with women as the antagonist in a film, is you have to get to that perfect Annie Wilkes level.
Right.
That's the best. Stephen King, again, like a Marcia Gay in Harden and the Mist. That perfect brand of slow seeping evil.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. It's not as easy because it's unless it is a woman of an imposing stature or a truly deviant nature, it's difficult to instantly make women, whereas the men and fathers, especially in those themes, because of head of the house or the one with the power or whatever it may be, it's even harder to get them to work in tandem.
Well, it's just weird because the more I thought of this, there's really so few horror movies where the father is something of a protagonist, the idea you're supposed to get behind him because he's trying to do something good. Honestly, the only movie I could think of where that happens is The Omen.
Yeah, the other one, I am going to fully admit, because I don't like to just, I really try not to research things. I try to think of them. I know we were talking about that with our approach here. But funny enough, I kind of just, I was thinking of movies with fathers and stuff. And one of the ones that came up, I was like, man, that's 100% true. It's probably the best one in recent memory is Train to Busan. That's the best father. And this is from a list with...
You're totally right.
Yeah, this is from a list from Bloody Disgusting. But I got to admit, this is really well thought of. I go, this has got to be one of the smartest ones. It's Train to Busan. They put Last House on the Left. Especially the remake where it's even more of the parents, but interesting ones here that I was like, man, I didn't even...
I totally blanked on the idea that the father is the whole in Train to Busan.
Or
That's
here's-
such a good movie.
It is.
Too.
It's such a perfect movie, and he's so good.
Oh
Such
God,
a perfect
that movie makes me so sad.
Sad. It is.
I love that movie. I would never watch it again.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
tough one. It's a nice companion piece to A Monster Calls.
Oh God. that
one-
movie
yeah, there's
made me
another
cry.
one. Oh God, I lost it in the theater.
Oh,
It's one of
fuck,
the
dude.
that's got to be the heaviest.
I mean,
movie.
I don't know if I'd really call that a horror movie.
No, but I
Yeah.
would say in terms of if you're talking emotional impact in
Yeah.
a movie, I haven't felt that probably since Up.
Yeah.
The one of the great ones here that's listed as best, but I go, man, this is a really conflicted one to me. As both embodiments is John Saxon as Lieutenant Donald Thompson in Nightmare 1, 3, and 7.
Oh, I guess so, because in like Nightmare on Elm Street 1, he's really trying hard to protect Nancy from the whole, from knowing. Well, it's interesting because, like, all right, let's get into the backstory here. Like, in the original Nightmare continuity, Fred Krueger was a child killer. He got off on a technicality according to Freddy's nightmares.
Sure.
So the parents did a lynch mob essentially and burned him alive in the boiling room. So I guess this kind of informed my read of his character in those movies, is that he's trying to protect Nancy from the stain of knowing that her dad, this upstanding police officer, is a murderer.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally my read of that character, and that's why in Nightmare 3 to me he's like a drunk, cause
Well, and the mother's a drunk.
yeah,
Ronnie
because basically just from the get go she was not able to handle it. So he was kind of carrying that burden for both of them. And in part 3, he found that was all for nothing.
Which I really do like that in movies where I think wherever there's some kind of vigilante justice. I mean, you have both the death wish type, but then you also have people where I'm like, people always go, I would do it, and I would, I'd sleep like a baby at night from knowing I did. I'm like,
what the fuck?
No, you wouldn't.
Read Crime and Punishment. Why don't you?
Yeah, but it's more. It's even more than that. It's just like, I mean, people. I'm sitting there going, everyone else, I'd kill them. I'd kill anybody that. And it's like, you wouldn't. And I said, and if you did, I mean, people go absolutely insane from things that they've done. I mean, obviously, the biggest one being post-traumatic stress disorder from war and from conflict and stuff like that. But I mean, not even just going so deep into that. But I mean, that's where I think it hits home in one. And then he doesn't believe her. I mean, not just because of the supernatural, fantastic nature of it, but because he just doesn't believe her. Yeah. It's like your friend killed. It's the Rod kills Tina, and it's like, he did it. He was a street thug. He wore
a leather jacket.
It's almost like a Blackboard Jungle Outsiders level of stuff. It's like, you're a Soch, Nancy. You should stay with us. And then and he hangs himself, and so it's that cycle. He's like, well, he was guilty, and he knew he was guilty. That's why he killed himself. He couldn't live with it. And then it's like, he just doesn't believe her. And then by the third, it's like, oh, I should have believed her. Yeah. Now I'm a security guard that's drunk all the time. Yeah. I'm a piece of shit. I have a complete failure as a father. And she says it outright numerous times. Mm-hmm. And then he redeems himself. Yeah. He is the savior. And then in New Nightmare, when it's John Saxon loves Heather Langenkamp like a daughter. And wants to be there, wants to help. And then the Miko Hughes as her son, it's like he's a grandfather.
Miko Hughes is her. Man, he's in so many fucking horror movies.
He is.
Spawn, Pet Sematary, New Nightmare. Jesus.
And he's got Kindergarten Cop, Full House. I mean, he's got a good spread for.
He was also one of the evil aliens in like the latter seasons of Roswell.
Yeah. But that's that's a pretty good resume where some people get one and done, and that's it. So, but yeah, I just think that that ties together nicely. So that's one, but I felt like he's both.
That's
people.
a really good one. I like the spin you're getting it, because like basically I was just thinking of movies that have fathers as prominent figures.
Sure. Well, I mean, the first one, of course, that I thought of truly is the stepfather.
Yeah.
Is I think the linchpin of.
I thought of The Shining. That was the first.
That's true too.
Yeah.
And I did see that, but it's funny to me because the stepfather though is, especially because it's based on a true crime, that I've always, not exactly, but I mean the root cause of him murdering his whole family and moving on to another family, that's true. And so I think you can go on, obviously riff on Jack Torrance's descent into madness, but how crazy was he to begin with? Obviously, did he break his arm?
Basically, the way I was looking at it is, the whole story with The Shining, how like Stephen King hates that movie because he's Jack Torrance, you know, and it's like when he sees a movie, it's his ego. It's like, this is like, in the book I redeem myself, in the movie I'm an asshole, and it's like, well, I mean, because Jack Torrance in Kubrick's movie doesn't want to be a father. He wants to be happy, and it's like he's rebelling against this very institution that, he doesn't have a bad life in The Shining. Like, he's a writer. He supports himself by doing these odd jobs, but clearly he thinks he's capable of much more, you know? And I never get the feeling at all that Jack Torrance in Kubrick's The Shining even really realizes there's something going on with Danny that could be like paranormal, because he's so affected by the negative consequences of Danny's burgeoning gift,
Yeah. Well, he's also a guy, like I said, I mean, you get just, from different interactions and stuff, especially with Wendy and stuff, but you understand that, I mean, he was like abusive.
Yeah.
And that he is not only does not want to be a father and stuff, like you said, because of his belief and delusions of grandeur or whatever, but also because he's one of those people, he's trapped. He's not just trapped in the hotel.
Yeah.
He is trapped in his life, and he just has no idea how to get out, except that, oh, hey, I got a great way for you to get out here.
Yeah.
That, you've always been here. You can stay with us. It's a classic thing.
Well, and that's the thing. It is a small, the whole thing is him being driven to madness, because you realize when he first meets Grady, he thinks he's better than him. And it's like, look at you. You're dead now. You're trapped here. I mean, that's it exactly what ends up happening to him.
Yeah. When you're a servant, you're here to meet my needs.
Yeah.
And you're my buddy, because that's what a bartender is. A bartender is your friend.
Oh yeah, Lloyd. I was talking about Grady. But
no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know what you mean, but I'm sorry. You're right. I apologize. Yeah, I got a little confused. But I mean that the idea of his whole thing is.
But he thinks of Grady the exact same way.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna keep looking at it that way, and it's and I think with the whole part of tying it back quick to the stepfather is that the whole point
just
of
looking for the perfect family.
He just keeps moving on. But that's the thing is it's Jack Torrance doesn't want a family, and I totally, because he keeps changing his name, Terry O'Quinn's character. But what he wants is this perfect family, this portrait, and it's it's weird because in some of the instances you can tell he just wants the perfect wife, but then you realize I have to have a child. I have to have some child here, because that's the Norman Rockwell life. Like, you have to have a perfect Saturday Evening Post, and now he can't get that because people are always going to get in the way of it, or keeping up with the Joneses. It's one or the other. So it's like a very different dichotomy, but in the end it's what we consider the responsibilities of fatherhood traditionally, especially in American society. Those are the condemnation, what drives people to madness. But that's what a lot of people feel about fatherhood.
Yeah. No, I think a good counterpoint to that is Pet Cemetery. Because then you have what's his
Dale
name?
Midkiff.
Yeah. What's his first name?
Dr.
Creed.
Creed,
Yeah. That, like, he...
Lewis Creed.
That's it. he moves out to the country, to be like the small time, doctor.
Yeah.
And then he's got like an infant baby and and daughter Ellie and his wife. But he has a really strange relationship with his bigger family at large because Ellie's family, or his wife's family, Rachel's family hates him, and we don't ever really get that much about his family, but you could tell like it's important for Rachel that come on, at least try, and you could tell like he doesn't even want to engage in that. He's happy with whatever he's got going on right now. And then when Gage dies, all he wants is the status quo. Like he needs that child,
Yeah.
And it's just like you're seeing what a father will do, to try to get that. I mean, it's a slow descent into madness. I mean, right from the get go, you should you should realize, like, the church came back wrong. Like, what makes you think this is going to be any different?
Well, yeah. Well, it's also that he's so driven that no matter how many times Judd tells him, haven't you, like, not only am I showing you this, telling you the stories, I'm showing you. Yeah. You're watching it unfold in real life that they will never come back.
Yeah.
The way there's something in the ground. And it's like, which, by the way, I just want a quick say for the Pet Sematary remake. How the fuck can a movie 30 years previous make the most amazing Micmac burial ground? And then this movie, it's literally looks like from like a CW show. Like, we're out in the swamp or something.
Dude,
we're out.
I remember that. I thought that was a real place they found the first time I saw that movie. Like, oh, they must have found like some cool, like, no, it's just fucking a set,
Yeah. Well, and Dale and the Lewis Creed's character too is like, I'm a doctor. I provide for my family. Yeah. I have everything. I have two beautiful children.
You never get the feeling from that movie that like he's a bad dad.
No, he's not a bad father or a bad, he's a provider and stuff. And that he's doing, like, he's a doctor who is going from probably a very lucrative career in a urban big city environment, but he's doing it because he wants his family to have a, rural, slow-paced life where they can really enjoy each other. And that's the whole thing is that he's like, well, your family, Rachel's family not only hates him, they hate Rachel. You killed your own sister.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so
that's one, honestly, I think that's the weakest part of Pet Sematary.
No, but it is but it is part of the family dynamic of what it is, because you realize how much they, like, it's not just Gage's funeral is like the boiling point, but it's the, it's all the build up and stuff, because you can hear her on the phone and things.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's a major issue in a lot of marriages and a lot of relationships with families that don't get along, or the time spent with them. But I think with the fatherhood is that, a lot of them, it's a checkbox thing. Yeah. It's like, I did everything that you need me to do. Now what's ever going to be enough? And that's what really pushes some people over the edge.
Yeah, for real.
And for real in real life too, not just in these in these films or in this fantasy kind of stuff. So, those are good examples. I mean, I pulled this list, like I said, it was just randomly. Of course, it was like the first search result. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, it's much easier to do the worst. They bring up, of course, Jack Torrance, the stepfather. They did do Dawn from 28 Weeks Later, which I thought was pretty fun too. Like, I like that.
Oh yeah. The dude from Trainspotting.
Yeah, and I thought that was an interesting one.
Does it have the dad from Night of the Living Dead?
No, but that's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have that. It has the woman, though, you mentioned earlier. It has Chris Cleek. And kind of a fun deep cut. It's funny that they of course say the worst father, but you almost have to laugh that they picked Daddy from the people under the stairs.
Oh, no, I tried to just like the one, because basically like I pretty much thought the only one like the dad from Night of the Living Dead, because he's an asshole, but then he dies because he thinks his daughter came back.
Yeah,
so I'm like, oh, that was kind of fucked.
The Omen is a great one too.
And then it's like I always wonder, like, if they hadn't gotten like Gregory Peck to be the dad, if that might have been different. I mean, but also like Gregory Peck was a really devout Catholic, but he's actively like trying to like figure out what's going on. You never get the feeling that it's like dude, what's going on? Like, that I feel is a very, like, honest, like, if you were in that kind of situation, like, yeah, there's these fucking nannies and, like, this housekeeper, these fucking dogs, and my wife just died. What's going on here, man? You know?
I think it's an interesting one, too, because it becomes like, he's a statesman.
Yeah.
He's a politician, so he has to go between the idea of, even though I know this isn't my child, I still, can I really kill a child?
Yeah.
But more importantly, can I save the world? Because that's what I'm supposed to do as a politician. That is the father figure. That is the elder.
And it's interesting because I feel like that's something that, like, Gregory Peck kind of, like, played with throughout his career. I mean, like, fuck, I know people, like, from To Kill a Mockingbird, Gregory Peck is the ideal figure of a father, you know? And I'm sure to a certain degree when he was cast in The Omen, that was part of the reason they must have thought, oh, this is an interesting subversion.
That's true.
Yeah.
But he was also, I mean, God, I think the only one he could have got was Ward Cleaver or something.
Yeah, right.
Like, gone really into it. But like, Father Knows Best. The classic sitcom. Again, going back to, I don't just mean to keep referencing the Norman Rockwell thing, but you have to realize in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, in the prime cuts of horror, that's where people were flipping the script on it.
The only other one, I had, like, this idea because, like, was an interesting role of a father, and it's more like just in a few scenes, but Craig T. Nelson in Poltergeist 2: The Other Side. Because, you know, in the first one, you know, they all get out of the house and everything, and it's like, you know, it's a family unit, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a scene in Poltergeist 2 where, like, he's drinking and the house is becoming possessed with Reverend Cain's energy, and he drinks that tequila bottle and swallows the worm, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. And then because of that, he just becomes this kind of, starts becoming this, like, abusive, like, figure, right? And it's like, it's funny that it takes that to get him to break away from this traditional role of fatherhood. And I still think that scene where he, like, vomits it up and it turns into this partially, like, you know, form, like, I don't know, like, subversion, like, evil dark side of himself with bones and everything is so fucking disgusting. Anyway, I thought that was...
Yeah, it's kind of surprising that's not in a Stuart Gordon and or Brian Usna film. Right. Or a Cronenberg. I mean, it's pretty body horn stuff. Yeah, the first two Poltergeist films have a lot of fucked up shit. Yeah. There is no other way to put it. I mean, it is some very bizarre and stark, deeply disturbing images. Like, I really think that's one of the hardest ones. But yeah, no, I mean, it's like I said, you don't. Yeah, it's like it's hard because, like I said, you don't want to look at just everybody's lists or some of the things. But it's funny just to come up with some of the ones that I heard. It's funny from two newer films because I think it's great to bring up like the Omen, Night of the Living Dead, some classic bedrock ones. Mm-hmm. But two great ones I heard was the Father and the Loved Ones.
The Father and Lola's dad.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. I thought that was a really good one because I mean that's like the ultimate. What would you call it? Like My Sweet 16, my whatever daddy's little girl wants, whatever my princess wants, she gets.
That's such an underrated movie.
It is. I recently found it on Blu-ray for like super cheap.
I think I have it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just one of those ones that I can't believe it's not on Blu-ray out here yet. Yeah. And it's like, what? It's kind of like how we've always talked about how long it took All the Boys Love Mandy Lane. A lot of these movies just seem to take forever. But and then the other one, like I said, I'd like to take credit for these, but I mean, we literally did this on the fly, so I got to pull from some other sources. But these are good sources, and the one though out of all of them that I've read so far that I thought, wow, that would be the probably last one I think of, but one of the best ideas is Bill Paxton in Frailty.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
What a fucked up, like perfect archetype of the ultimate authority figure. Mm-hmm. Like I mean, because you think of all the, I mean, not just religious zealotry, but the possessive nature of parenthood, especially of fatherhood. And it's strange because it's not.
I know that's like Ruby was like saying, "Oh, you should talk about parents."
Yeah, well, I thought you were going to sneak in Mom and Dad already, too, just because I know how much you love that
I
one.
love that movie, but, I feel like it's a little on the nose. I want to try to do more of a,
Well, it's kind of like doing, everyone knows how much I love killer kids or kids being killed. But, like, Cooties isn't one I'd ever really bring up, because to me it's too much of a... It's not even just on the nose. It just feels like one of those ones where... kind of goes back to that short film thing you were saying. Yeah. It's like this film could have been like 30 minutes.
I didn't really pull stuff from a list. Like I just pulled out just jotted stuff down. But there were a few words in the Texas Chainsaw remake is Arlie Ermey Leatherface's dad. He's kind of the father figure.
Yeah, you're not 100% sure who is who. Well, it's not just pulling from a list.
But he's essentially the patriarch of that movie.
Well, what I'm saying is that you look at it's like if I were to put in the words father and horror,
right?
Just as general guideposts for this kind of thing, it's like you get far-reaching. It's not just that's a great point about Arlie Ermey because he's one of those people.
Well, I mean, you could get into the role of father. Then you talk about something like Father Marin and The Exorcist.
Well, yeah, then you're really getting into the ones. Or Father and Father Dyer and Father Karras, but it's one of those ones where the cobbled family, the idea of a family unit that is, you can really get into obviously most backwoods horror movies, or the derivatives of them, but it's an interesting idea too because the cook in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 and 2 is very much the parental father individual. Mm-hmm. It's usually the person who has the job, has the career, and again, that's also what's expected of men and expected of fathers is to be the breadwinner.
Yeah, and it's understandable, and it's like you said in the Nightmare films, it really explores that well with Officer Thompson, but it's one of the things that always got me is when they finally did address this and is it in Freddy's Dead that you meet Freddy's dad?
Alice Cooper.
Yeah, Alice Cooper. I mean, he's just basically this comical character, right? That it's just oh look, Freddy's already a fucking sociopath. He just loves being whipped by this asshole, But then you find out in that movie that Freddy himself was a father, to oh God, what's that actress's name?
Lisa
Wilcox?
No, Wilcox is 4. She's
this dark-haired actress. I can't remember her name.
Zane.
Yeah, Lisa Zane. That's right. And it's
she's also gonna be at Son of Monster Palooza. I saw it, by the way. Yeah.
But it's it's just really interesting because I'm the idea that Freddy himself could be a father seems really interesting, and I always thought that was one of the big letdowns of Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. Is they didn't do anything interesting with that idea.
No, not really.
Yeah,
they got actually some good people. I mean, Alice Cooper, the look was good. The guy who played the young Freddy was great. He had a great piercing stare.
Yeah,
but I guess too, it's kind of going back though to that idea where you're talking about earlier. It's I think the thing too about not only just being the breadwinner and the bastion or whatever of the home. I mean, a lot of people consider that the mother. I mean, this is traditional American nuclear family kind of ideals here, but that's what
kind
most
of what
films
horror
are.
Plays with most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those things that they have the idea of Alice Cooper was his father. I'm doing air quotes, sorry. But then if you look, even starting in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Freddy's doesn't have a father. He's the son of 1,000 maniacs. So it's just he's the perennial evil seed, literally.
The demon seed.
Yeah. And that's what's really interesting when I think of something like Dexter, which I mean might be stretching this a little bit farther but it's he's a serial killer, but he lives by his father's code, right? Yeah. But then when he himself becomes a father, it almost becomes this bizarre joke where oh, I gotta kill somebody, but I gotta buy some formula.
Yeah. Well, Dexter played a lot with dark comedy, which can be a lot of fun, like you said, with parents and stuff.
Yeah.
But on the topic of what I meant earlier was just that, look, with these kind of things is that I think one other thing is that the men are supposed to be fact-based. They're supposed to be the voice of reason.
Yeah.
So if a man does descend into madness or becomes vicious, becomes the killer, becomes that, it's like, well, you can be aggressive, you can be masculine or whatever, but you can't be that. You cannot be violent. And when you are, it is, that's the demon seed, the idea of it.
So a while back, earlier this year, I saw this movie on Netflix. It's called Await Further Instructions. And basically, it's like this small English horror movie, and it's like, the son is bringing his, like, it's set in England, and it's like the son is bringing his girlfriend to meet his father. She's like Indian, English. What do you call? I don't know what you would call somebody who's like of English and Indian descent.
Sure, yeah, I got you.
It's a very common thing in
very much, yeah.
But
Indian and Pakistani.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. And then his father is like very much like an abusive father who looks down on Indian, Pakistani. I don't know why I'm getting stuck.
I know. I get what you mean, though. Yeah,
yeah. But and then he's got another son who's an asshole, who's abusive to women, and his wife is completely cowed because he's abusive. And then they come, they're meeting up for like the equivalent of a Christmas dinner or whatnot.
Sure.
And then something happens where they're all trapped in this house, and the TV is telling them what to do. And it's really, but basically, like, what ends up happening is the daughter ends up dying because he disobeys the TV, and then he starts slowly going mad, and then the only way he can keep hold of who's left is by reasserting his role as the father.
Yeah.
That's
a great idea for that kind of arc, that kind of development where it becomes, because the typical thing would be, again, circling back, is the Jack Torrance model, where people really, really do feel, like I said, I guess, it's not that I don't think of that instantly. Maybe it's because it's called The Stepfather. That's the first thing I think of. But it's just one of those ideas where I think that's, I said, people just will never expect that. They're like, nope, he'll hold it together. Everything will be held together. He's whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. He's gonna stand strong. He's gonna hold. And it's like, nope, he's gonna go fucking crazy.
Yeah.
He is going to lose it. And the few that, and whether it's his own madness, something supernatural or viral or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to make. I think it's very simple to make the classic villainous father, villainous male character. Very difficult. Yeah. That's why it mentioned Busan. It is the most sympathetic.
No, and it's one of those things, like, the more you think about it, like, it becomes an issue. You don't see it really in a lot of classic horror. It's a theme that becomes more prevalent in, like, the latter half of the 20th century. Because even if I think of something like, Universal monsters, like, I never even really think of, like, Dr. Frankenstein as the creature's father. Even in The Bride of Frankenstein, he's just like this broken man that tried to create something. But I never get the feeling that either he or Dr. Prometheus, like, feel any, like, these are my children kind of thing,
Oh, Pretorius, yeah.
Or Dr. Pretorius.
Yeah. I got what you mean. Yeah. But it is a modern Prometheus. Yes. So you're in the right wheelhouse.
There you go. That's where I made the slip. But it's just weird but I feel now, anytime you see something like that movie Splice, like, which is another example of more modern, for God's sake, Sarah Polly's character's name is Elsa, and Adrian Brody, like, literally sees they see that creature as their child. So when he fucks it, he feels guilty, like he not only, like, cheated on his wife, he fucked his child. That's a creepy ass movie, but it's a good movie, I think.
Sure.
But it's another one of those, like, she refers to him as father. It's that just popped in my brain just now, weirdly enough. But yeah, I mean,
I brought it up earlier too when we were talking about assimilate.
Yeah.
But it was also, I mean, it's just the idea too. You're right, though. You can really go off into the radical direction. I guess in the end, what I feel with, like, the father thing is it's without being super socio-political, of course, about anything, but I do feel that
it's an interesting
archetype. But I think it's it's rare that we live in a society where it's kind of like the deadbeat dad,
Yeah.
the absentee father, the career oriented man. We obviously, there's domestic violence, there is things, but I mean also men have a lot of issues that aren't really discussed because of, for whatever reasons, and people can look at it in different ways. But I think a big part of it is that some people go, well, there is no role for the father, and so there's some men who truly feel that way, like, or they can never find their role, like you were talking about earlier on some of those characters where the man just simply can't figure out, like, either because he doesn't want to be like a Jack Torrance, because he has different aspirations or ideals, or because he simply it's like a day-to-day struggle, or the overwhelming overarching theme of his life where he's like, well, I'm not any of these things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be something else. And a lot of times that's, of course, the idea of an evil or, whatever it is, the monster. The monster in the film is the man.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it's something that's funny that I never think about it really a huge amount, that almost all of them, the men in films are monsters. There's very few heroes. It's not an action adventure. It's not there's no Indiana Jones or the very heroic types of old, a Robin Hood, whatever person you consider, Zorro. That very antiquated, golden era Hollywood kind of thing.
They always are, and it's like weird because, again, like, the more you think about even the idea of just, like, honestly, the most recent movie I can think of, like, horror movie, where, like, I mean, it has a father as a monster. Is it Trick or Treat?
Yeah, the father is a killer, serial killer. Yeah,
that's the last one I can think of. I mean, really, it's a topic that I feel like it's ripe for mining, and it's like,
sure,
not really that much.
Well, like I said, it kind of goes back and stuff. I mean,
but that's like a father-son story, I'm saying.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. Well, there's just not many. I mean, there's those kinds of things, or usually in those, a lot of times it's a paranormal thing. It's they're vampires or werewolves or some other creature, and that's why they also...
Like in The Lost Boys with Max. And
sure. Yeah, because that's another way in which it...
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'd like...
Yeah, no, I got you.
I was like, I didn't even think about that, but that's the entire point of that movie. Boys need a mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's the other way they look at it, is that it's funny, that's probably one of Max's, for all his evil and his elemental issues, is that at the same time that's the thing, I think, when people address issues that men experience, I mean, in the real world, and even thematically in film and stuff, is that I think people go, well, it's anti-woman or something like that, and I go, I don't think it is. I think it's just exploring a different ideas, and some of which is that it is the necessary component, not the feminine mystique, but the feminine energy and influence. It's that it's a critical component, and because not everyone has a great father, not everybody also has a great mother, which plays well for excellent horror and drama. Another not just No More Wire Hangers, but like anything. I mean, we could do that as another episode. But that's why I preface kind of with the Annie Wilkes kind of thing. That it's very difficult to make an imposing, frightening female monster. Whereas it's very, without being supernatural or almost borderline cartoonish.
No, but like this human monster that already sort of like, because the role of the father has so much baggage.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, and with and that's another. I mean, that is the quick trope or pitfall of women too. Or they become, if they're the monster, they're the hypersexualized being.
Yeah, the virgin whore dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. So it keeps going on. But I think in like we start with Creepshow, like the Father's Day. I mean, that's the most stereotypical. It's a simple EC style
the
monster.
Disconnect. Well, I mean, are we talking about the father in the framing?
The father in the
Joe
framing.
Hill's
the
father.
The Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
and the first tale of the Nathan
Bedelia's.
Yeah, Bedelia. Yeah, but it's that's also, of course, about it's a simple story of the classic greed that children have with I want your inheritance, I want whatever I want, or that father was the worst father, but we will enjoy the fruits of his labor, and that's why he takes revenge. I mean, from beyond the grave. It's very simple, but it's also a little bit more. There's some meat on those bones, like on those aged, decaying bones. There's still something there. I think that's what all the stories in Creepshow have.
Yeah.
Which is also kind of funny that they are all, even if it's not fathers, they're all male based. But generally, it's like there are women in them, but it's Jordy Verrill is the bumbling buffoon individual, the mentally challenged kind of man, the bumpkin, which is played for laughs generally. Yeah. But then you have the husband, the Leslie Nielsen, and the Ted Danson as the younger gadabout, and then it becomes that schism where men go, I'm replaced.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I really never thought about the Creepshow. And then you have the nagging wife of the Adrienne Barbeau, the Billy, with Hal Holbrook being the absolutely abused husband.
Yeah. Well, it plays on like all these tropes, which are like, pretty common in like comics, for telling these sort of like pulp stories. I mean, fuck, I'm not going to get into like...
It's just funny. I've never thought how well they all tie together.
No, they do. It's like, a theme.
In that respect.
Because, I mean, like, that whole idea of like, the cuckolded man, and can he still be a man in this world? How will he, I mean, fuck, that was like the whole... early seasons of The Walking Dead right there. Like the role of a man and a father in the place where he's been usurped. That's as far as I'm going to get into The Walking Dead.
No, I know. Well, even capping it out on Creepshow with Upston Pratt being the emperor, the lord of his manor, and even he is upstaged by another man.
Yeah.
Because of his failings, of his evil. He is a monstrous. He is an insect.
Yeah.
And even though he considers himself the top of the food chain, he's an apex predator, but he's not. He is the lowest of the low. But it's just interesting that's a good way to come about with that. Starting with Creepshow and the fun part of Father's Day, but it actually really has a lot deeper roots.
I feel like this was like a very what do you call it? It feels like a very definitive examination of the role of father, like more so than I thought we would get into.
Same with me. I thought we were going to do something a little bit more surface, and we went full community college class, so it worked out well.
Guys, if you're listening to this podcast, you're going to get intelligent discourse on horror anyway, so it's not like we're going to go, oh my god, you guys, the baby mood, it was a ghost. Anyway, we hope you enjoy the...
We're not going to be doing episode 2 now.
I trust our audiences, like, beyond that point,
No, but I think it is cerebral and stuff, and it is an examination that's important for numerous reasons. I think, like I said, I think we both thought this would be a little bit more surface, but that's good, and I hope this is where we're going to continue to go with it. And if you have examples or ideas and stuff that you want to elaborate on when we post this up, I'd really like to hear some people, because like I said, even just a cursory examination online, I was pretty fascinated, and some of the ones we both mentioned that kind of just spring out of when you start talking about it. You're like, wow, that's another one I didn't even think of.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll post this on SoundCloud and on YouTube and see how it goes.
Sounds good.
Yep. But we hope you enjoyed the first episode, Journey into Horror Cult. Join us next time in a couple of weeks or whatnot. And we'll probably do one, I guess, before Mad Monster, I suppose.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah. But until then, you know what we're up to. You can always find us at cultfollowing.co. Check the site out. We'll have some giveaways for tickets to go see Annabelle Comes Home this weekend. We've got a lot of reviews up right now. And as always, follow us on Instagram at cultfollowing.co. Yeah, look at that. Instagram, let us keep our URL as our tag. So, until next time, this is Victor Moreno along with Kirby Nelson.
I finally got my cake.
Until next time, stay scary.